If there was an emergency where somebody is stabbed up, if they're unconscious, something like that happens, the officers are going to cuff them up anyway, no matter what part of the compound they're on. Because if they do wake up and they don't know what's going on, they could get violent.
Welcome back to Other People's Lives. I'm Joe Santagato.
I'm Greg Dybec.
For anyone out there that would like to be a guest on our show, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com.
Today, we are going to be learning about someone's job. Super interesting job. We are speaking to a woman who is a prison nurse. So we've got the guest on the line, and thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. I know the job title is pretty self-explanatory, but can you just give us the brief job description and I guess your general role as a prison nurse?
Okay, so I work at a male maximum security prison, and we house about 2,000 inmates. The nursing care is pretty much responding to traumas, giving them any kind of medications that they would take daily. We do give a lot of psych meds and things like that. We do their insulin care, checking their blood sugars, following up with labs, like any kind of stuff that you would do at your doctor's office. We do that kind of care there as well. And just like I said before, responding to traumas, because we are in a prison. So there are a lot of fights and things like that happen.
Is this, because I'm like curious how you end up, at this particular spot, like is like, were you kind of applying to be a nurse in a prison?
I started out, actually, I've been a nurse for 20 years. So the first 15 years I was in long-term care. So I worked at a nursing home where we did like end-of-life care, post-surgical care, skilled therapies, things like that. Worked there for a really long time, kind of got burnt out on that whole long-term care thing. So I had just gotten a message from somebody that worked at the prison that said like, hey, we're hiring. We really need nurses. And I've always been super interested in like forensics and true crime and all that. And I'm like, I wonder what it would be like on the other side of the true crime thing, like once they're locked up and all of that. I was just kind of interested in the whole thing. So I applied just to kind of see what it was all about. And so that's how I ended up there. And I've been there for 6 years now.
Wow. I think you mentioned in your email that there can be, I guess, within healthcare and nursing, sort of a misconception, or do like people look down on that job, or like, is a prison nurse a coveted role, or are there other people in healthcare that say like, why would you want to go into that environment?
Oh, absolutely. They always kind of wonder how did you end up there, or you must not be a good nurse if you're just in the prison. But really, I've worked with tons of very smart nurses that end up in the prison system. I don't know. I don't know how we end up there, but it's definitely not like the first place that anybody wants to go. But I mean, I really love it there.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, were you excited when you got the job? Like, cool, I'm going to go hang out with a bunch of prisoners.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was super interesting. And then once I got there, I realized there was so much more to it than what I really thought in the beginning. Like I just didn't realize how much there was to the job as far as responding to traumas. And like, I'd really never had any like training in trauma response or anything like that. And like I said, I worked at a nursing home, so we really didn't have any traumas there other than like a fall or maybe somebody hit their head. So here you have stabbings, you have vicious assaults and things like that you're really the first responder to. Like, you're almost like EMS. You're the first one on the scene. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely a lot more than I expected when I got into the job. Yeah,
I was going to ask, like, how does it compare to your last position in a nursing home? Is it just, you're kind of, I imagine there's a lot of people visiting your office on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, it depends on like what shift you work and what role you are in. But if you're passing out medications, I mean, we have 5 housing units, and like I said, there's about 2,000 people on our compound. So divide that into 5 units. You're giving a lot of medications out. And so that can be overwhelming sometimes. And of course, like, it can be super busy on the tiers. People are going to rec. Everybody's going everywhere. There's a lot of movement on our compound. So, they're rushing through, getting their meds. You kind of have to be quick at it and really know what you're doing to be able to be efficient at it. And then you have, I was on night shift for the first 5 years that I was there. So I was pretty much alone all night. I was the only nurse out onto the compound. So if there was an emergency, it was just me. I was the one that was going to be doing all the things.
Is there a level of fear around entering this role? Because you did say maximum security prison, so I'm assuming that means like violent offenders, murderers, people doing life potentially.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of lifers, and they really have nothing to lose. So it doesn't matter to them what kind of trouble they get into while they're in prison, because they're already there,
How did you cope with that initially, going into that environment?
It was pretty strange at first going into the prison. Like, you're locked in. You can't not get out unless somebody's opening the door for you. We have like a master control that watches everything on cameras. So as you're walking through the prison, the doors are just like automatically opening for you. So that was pretty weird to get used to at first. And then once you're in, you're just in there unless they let you back out. So feeling like you're locked in as well as the inmates are locked in, that was a little strange to get used to at first. And I'm not going to say that I'm never scared working there. I mean, sometimes things can get a little uncomfortable and you're like on edge a little bit, because you can feel when things get tense, when things are about to go off with the inmates. They're kind of like, there's a lot of gang activity and things like that. So that still happens on the inside. So you can tell when everybody's kind of on edge. And so that does make you a little bit nervous.
Is there a specific example of a time where you were like, this is where I was the most scared working in this prison?
We had a really bad assault in one of our seg units one night, and I responded. And I mean, this man was beaten so badly that his brain tissue was coming out of his skull. Like, he was obviously dead when I arrived there. There was no coming back from that. And it was a pretty gruesome, horrific scene. And after that incident, it kind of made me think, if they can do this to someone that they're in the cell with, like, they could do this to me, or they could do this to one of my friends that works here. It just kind of put it in a different perspective, like made it kind of seem more real that these things could happen. And up until then, I think I knew that it could happen, but I just never had seen it,
Mm-hmm. What about the psychology around helping people who for a fact have done bad things? So like the person who murdered someone in the prison on the scene you responded to, if that person who committed that, a month or two later is now coming to you because they need care, like, oh, can you take this splinter out of my hand, or I fell, or something like that.
Right.
How do you approach that?
I mean, I don't even really think about it in the moment. Like, you're just there to do a job. You're there to give their care. It's not my job to judge them or punish them for things that they've done. Like, they're already doing their time. Mm-hmm. But there are some like high profile people that have come in and what they did when they get there. And you're just kind of like, ugh, this person, is not a good person. And here they are, and I've got to help them. Like, you still do it. You still give them the best care, because I love doing my job. I love being a nurse. So I love doing my job, but it's a little weird at times when you know what somebody did and you're like, okay, well, now I've got to do the things.
Is that one of the judgments that you think prison nurses get? Like, why are you providing care for bad people?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've had a lot of people say like that they couldn't believe that I would want to go there and work, and what kind of people they are. I mean, I just try not to really think about it, because I'm just there to do my job as a nurse. And there are some people there that really didn't do horrific things. Like, there are a lot of young kids that come in there that it just kind of makes you realize, I'm just one bad decision away from being here too. I could have really messed up whenever I was 20 years old and ended up in prison. So, I really feel for the young kids that come in, and I feel like we get a lot of kids from inner cities, and I'm like, these kids never stood a chance, a lot of them. And here they are doing time with people that have really done horrific things, and they're kind of not on the same level.
Before we get back to this interview, we do have a sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Squarespace, and Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform designed to help you stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting a business or looking to scale your business, Squarespace gives you everything you need to claim your domain, showcase your offerings with a professional website, grow your brand, and get paid all in one place. You've heard it before. We are big Squarespace fans here. We use it for all the websites that we need to make for our various products and shows, including other people's lives. Our main website where potential guests get to reach out to be guests on the show is backed by Squarespace, as well as some other websites that we have too. Basement Yard is on tour right now, and we put together a website that shows all the dates, has links to all the tickets. I love how that site looks. I made that site, and I want to take credit because it looks really nice, but really the credit has to go to Squarespace. My favorite feature with Squarespace is the templates, the kind of pre-designed templates they have to choose from. It's an amazing starting point that shows you just how beautiful your website could look. You choose that template, and then you're able to customize within that, or you can start fresh. They have a very easy drag and drop system. So if you need buttons, if you need contact forms, if you need to make sales and sell products on there, if you want people to be able to sign up for a mailing list, whatever you can think of that your website would need, Squarespace has that feature, and it's very, very easy and just super intuitive. Their website, like, you could play around with it and figure it out very quickly, which I also love. You can head to squarespace.com/OPL and you will get a free trial. So this is awesome because you get a free trial where you can actually build a website. If you are in need of a website, take this free trial. Actually use Squarespace to build that website. And then when you're ready to launch that website, you can use the offer code OPL and you will save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. So again, head to squarespace.com/OPL, use that free trial, actually use all the features, see how easy it is to build a beautiful looking functional website for your business or your brand. And then when you are ready to launch that, use the promo code OPL and you will get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th was World Mental Health Day, and this year we want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to the therapists out there in the world. Therapists are people that truly make the world a better place. They are the people who create safe spaces, who are non-judgmental, and listen and help people who need to be vulnerable, who want to explore how to deal with certain situations, deal with traumas. A therapist is crucial for anyone who is looking to better themselves. And it takes a special kind of person to be a therapist. When I started therapy, I was apprehensive at first, I think like a lot of people. And I really give credit to my therapist. She made the space feel so safe for me kind of right away. And I was able to, I think, reach depths within myself and be vulnerable to an extent that when I was thinking about starting therapy, I wasn't sure if I would be able to get there with a stranger. But she was really skilled. She was really comforting. She created this safe space. And I have been able to really just see incredible results through therapy. And that's why, I promote it so much. I know Joe does as well. We're big believers, and it starts with the therapist and finding the right therapist for you. And BetterHelp takes pride in their quality therapists. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the US. They have a therapist match commitment. So BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you with a therapist so that you can focus on your therapy goals. There's a short questionnaire that helps identify your needs and preferences, and their 12 plus years of experience and industry leading match fulfillment rate means that you typically do get it right the first time. However, if you're not happy with your match, you can switch to a different therapist at any time. And BetterHelp has over 30,000 therapists. They are the world's largest online therapy platform, and they have served over 5 million people globally. So in the spirit of this year's World Mental Health Day, we are celebrating the therapists who have helped millions of people take a step forward in their lives. And if you're ready to find the right therapist for you, then BetterHelp can help you start that journey. And you can head to betterhelp.com/OPL and you will get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/OPL, and you will get 10% off your first month. Now back to the show.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, because you had mentioned it earlier too, that, there's, in so many words, there's like these misconceptions that people have about your job, or I guess inmates in general. What would you say is kind of the biggest misconception about your occupation?
I don't really know. I feel like there's a lot. Like they think that you're not a smart nurse. They think that everyone there is like just the worst scum of the earth, like, and then you're there helping them. So I don't know. It kind of puts you in a weird place, but I'm just there to do the job, take care of the people.
Yeah, it also feels like the opposite. It feels like to work in that environment, you need to be able to handle so much mentally, physically, and just like the skill set as like a caretaker across the board probably requires a ton.
It does. You kind of have to have a knowledge of pretty much everything when you go in there in order to do the job well.
Yeah.
So let's say someone gets, they get stabbed or something, right? And they have to come to you. What is the protocol there? Is there always a guard there? Are they handcuffed while you're working on them? Like, what does that sort of scene look like?
Yes. So they're always handcuffed, especially from our seg unit. So we have a segregation unit that is off to its on its own, So those guys are always cuffed up when they come down to get any kind of care. So even like medications, insulin, just to see the doctor, they're always cuffed up, and you're always with an officer. You never see a patient unless you have an officer with you.
Mm-hmm.
If there was an emergency where somebody is stabbed up, if they're unconscious, something like that happens, the officers are going to cuff them up anyway, no matter what part of the compound they're on, because if they do wake up and they don't know what's going on, they could get violent. So they always have them cuffed up, and they're always going to be with you.
Have there been any stories just kind of on the flip side of people doing very bad things? Just something that surprised you about like a relationship that you formed with an inmate or someone that you were giving care to?
It kind of surprised me, the softer side of people that are in there. I did have an incident one night. I was doing my insulin pass, and it took me about an hour to do insulin on the whole compound. So I was pretty fast at it. And I always called it my stand-up comedy hour because I kind of liked going down and joking around with them and just kind of keeping it lighthearted. And I went into our seg unit, and we had a guy in there for a couple weeks that was off of the G-pop area of the compound that he got put in seg. And he was never a problem. He was always like a decent inmate, super nice to everybody. So I was confused, like why he ended up being in there in the first place. But apparently he had owed drug money to some people on the compound, and he was like trying to get away from them,
Mm-hmm.
So they put him in the seg unit, and he had come down for insulin, and he just kind of seemed off. He didn't seem like himself. And I'm like, hey, are you doing okay? You just don't seem like yourself this evening. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing fine. I just got a lot on my mind. So then the next night I go down, same time for insulin. And he came down, he got his insulin, and he gave me what we call a sick call slip. So it's when they request to be seen for like a medical issue. And typically they don't hand them straight to us. They would put them in a mailbox and we would pick them up later. But he asked me if I could take it, and he asked me not to read it until he was gone, which also I typically wouldn't do, because sometimes people write you weird things, or it's a love letter or something, off the wall, and they tell us not to take them. So the officer was there, and I'm like, is it okay if I take it? And he said, yeah. So he leaves to go back to his cell after his insulin, and I read the letter. And it ended up that he had been sexually assaulted the night before in the showers, and he was embarrassed. He was very upset about it. He hadn't slept, he couldn't eat. And that night before, when I asked him like, hey, are you doing okay, I could tell something was off. And he said, I didn't think anyone even cared enough about me to realize that I wasn't doing okay. But you showed me that you did care and I just need help. Like, he trusted me enough to tell me what happened and that he needed help. And it was just kind of like the flip side. Like, now he's a victim and not a perpetrator, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm curious also, like, within a prison, usually, like, how much care can you give an inmate before it's like, okay, we have to send these people like off campus essentially to a hospital? Like, what is the limit of your care?
We usually give them we get them stabilized. So if there's a stabbing, they're losing blood. If it's something that it's not superficial and we can like stitch up or suture up or staple or something and take care of right there in house, then we have to send them out. So, we would just call EMS. They'd come on scene and take them to the hospital from there.
Are there any stories of people that you were able to save by being first on the scene that otherwise maybe wouldn't have made it?
Yes, there was an incident where we had an inmate got attacked by his cell buddy, and he had beaten him pretty much unrecognizable. We got on scene. It was me and one other nurse that evening, and they said, we need a nurse down here now. So we were flying down there to get to the housing unit, and we passed the officers on the walk bringing another inmate out, and he was covered in blood. So we think he's the one that was injured. So they waved us off and they're like, no, you need to get inside. Like, the other guy's way worse. So we get inside upstairs. Of course, it was upstairs. So we were running down the walk, running up the stairs. We get there and he is just unrecognizable. He was beaten so badly. And we got him up to medical. He was like choking on his own blood. We suctioned it out. He was completely unconscious. By the time EMS got there, we had gotten him stabilized and he was starting to regain consciousness at that point. He was beaten pretty badly, so they flew him out and he had a hospital stay for, I think, almost a month. But he is back on our compound now, and I see him giving meds and stuff, and I'm just like, there's that guy that was beaten so bad. I don't even know if he remembers that it was me there that night because he was unconscious, but it's just pretty wild to see him now just doing normal.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say that's a life you saved by being able to get there, right away. How did you know that you could stomach things like this? Like, especially when it's caused by violence?
I didn't really know that I could. I was just like winging it. I'm going to go see what it's all about. So.
And it doesn't affect you at all?
Sometimes it does. Like the guy that had the brains coming out of his head. I mean, I had them on my shoes, on my pants. I was doing CPR because as the first one on scene, you have to start CPR. So
wow.
I was, getting all of that all over me. And, once EMS got there, I was pretty shaken up about that one. And it affected me a little bit. Because even now, like if they call for an emergency and I'm responding, I'm like kind of talking myself down, like everything's fine, you're gonna be fine, like just kind of trying to chill out before I get there, because that one really did seem to affect me more than the others.
All right, before we get back to this interview, we do have one more sponsor, and that is Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair supplement brand, okay? So if you deal with any sort of thinning or shedding, or maybe you just want to be proactive about your hair health, you can use Nutrafol too. You can be one of the 1.5 million people that are trusting Nutrafol to keep their hair looking great. Also, you can feel great about using this product because their ingredients are backed by peer-reviewed studies and NSF content certified, which is the gold standard in third-party certification for supplements, okay? Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is very easy. There's no subscription required. You just go on and order it. Also, there's automated deliveries that are keeping you on track. So you can see thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol for a limited time. Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code OPL, okay? So find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, and the promo code is OPL, okay? So go to Nutrafol.com, use that promo code OPL, and enjoy. Now back to the show. And how does, what is like a day-to-day, what does a work day kind of feel like usually? Like how many patients do you see, or kind of, I know you hand out medication and stuff. Is that like the bulk of the day, or, what usually happens, in any given day?
I've actually gone to a different position now, so there's a little less patient care for me now that I'm in a new position. I still see probably 20 people per day, depending on the day. More of like clinic kind of things, like checking blood pressures or sorting out medications and things like that. But I mean, if you're the nurse giving meds, you're seeing probably a couple hundred people a day.
Wow.
Wow. Do the inmates ever sort of use you as like mental health support too? Like you mentioned like love letters, but are they kind of venting to you like when they're in your care? Do you see them kind of change at all and try to, whatever it may be, like get something off their chest, or or on the flip side of that, have they ever tried to like get anything from you or manipulate you?
I've never had anyone try to manipulate me, but they do. I mean, they are manipulative. I've never had them single me out specifically, but I mean, they do have to other nurses. And you can get yourself into a lot of trouble with that. But they do like vent to you if they come up to, get their blood pressure checked and they're talking about, I'm really stressed out about things going on at home. And, they don't have any control over that because they're locked up. They do talk to you about things like that, family problems, their mom's sick, they're not going to get to see her before she dies. Like there's a lot of heavy stuff that they're going through on the inside that there's really nothing they can do about it.
Yeah. Is there any part of your job that you think you would change or that you wish was different?
I mean, I wish there were more nurses. I wish we had more staff. I feel like if we had more staff, there would be a lot more care that we could do, better care that we could do, keeping track of things better. But as far as like the job duties itself, I mean, I don't have any complaints about any of that.
How many nurses are there?
It depends on the day. We have probably 4 medicine nurses, and then we have some RNs that do sick calls. So we have probably 2 of them that will see patients on a day shift type basis.
Mm-hmm.
Now night shift is pretty much skeleton crew. So they have like 1 RN and 1 LPN at night. So there's a lot less staff at night. And sometimes, I mean, when I was working at night, I might be the only nurse there out on the compound for that night.
Wow. Is this a job where you feel like you're compensated appropriately for like the level of care and service that you're providing?
Oh yeah. I mean, financially, I really don't have any complaints about it. And that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of people end up working in prisons, because there is a level of danger working there. Like you could be harmed. So they do pay well because there is that, something could happen. So
was there a moment whenever you were working in the prison where you actually felt like, oh, I'm being threatened, or like I am in the line of danger right now?
I don't really think so. I mean, sometimes they'll raise their voice, they'll start to get agitated, but really they really respect the nurses a lot more, I think, than the officers most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're there to help them. Like they feel like the officers are there to like, keep them from having things, keep them from doing things. So those are kind of like, they're the enemy, but the nurses are there really to help. So most of the time, everybody's pretty respectful towards the nurses. Like they may say gross things or sexual things or whatever. And usually they just yell that out their windows as you're going by, or going out the tier, they'll yell it out their door. But really not face to face. They're not usually disrespectful. Sometimes they get agitated, but I've never really felt like anything bad was going to happen to me.
From your perspective in the prison you work at, do you think inmates are treated fairly?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I know that they don't feel that way.
Right.
Because they always have complaints. But I mean, the guys, we have a very clean campus. It's very nice there. They have tablets that they can get on and do FaceTime with their family. They have games on their tablets. They can watch movies. They have Xboxes, PlayStations, TVs. Like what else could? And they also have jobs and education and things like that that they get out and go do. So I really think, like, as far as the life that they're living while they're there, it really isn't that bad.
And this question, I'm sure, obviously depends on the inmate as well. But again, you have a unique perspective being in the prison. And the question that always comes up around the prison system is, do you think that prisons are capable of rehabilitating offenders?
I think that they can be if the inmate wants to get better. There has to be a lot on their end, but the opportunities that they have while they're there, I mean, I think that they really have a good chance of doing well when they get out, as long as they don't fall back into the same habits as they did before.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, this is like a really cool perspective, honestly. It's also like a job that, like, I mean, obviously when I think of nurses, it's like, I don't know how anyone does that job. Like, God bless them to be in, such a panicky situation in any hospital or in any sort of situation. If people are sick, they need care. That's a very like high stress job. And now you put that in a prison. It's like, that's even, you're adding so much more to that. So
Right.
It's really admirable what you're doing. And
to that point too, as we wrap up, I'm sure there's other nurses. I'm sure there's people who may be even considering this path. Everything Joe just said, the level of stress for this job and the care that you have to provide and the trauma that you're seeing and dealing with, how do you cope? Like when you leave that job, are you able to leave work behind? If you've just seen something like a guy's brains on your shoes that you couldn't save, how do you go back to your life outside of work and kind of just process that, decompress and cope with it all?
I feel like it's pretty crazy how your own brain works, because, I mean, that is traumatizing, seeing something like that. And for a couple of days after that, you're like, that was crazy. I cannot believe that I just witnessed any of that. It's almost like your brain is just like, it just kind of pushes it away, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I mean, I try not to bring it home with me. I try not to let it affect me once I'm at home. I try to just go about my day like everything is normal. And it's so weird how you can see something like that and then just like come home and cook dinner for your kid.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine. But yeah, we appreciate you coming on and taking the time to talk to us today and providing this perspective for the audience. So thank you so much.
I'm glad to have been on here. It's great.
Yeah, and I hope people out there they can stop talking down on prison nurses. It's a
Yeah.
very important job, and you're handling a lot.
Yeah, I hope not.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks for your time, and good luck and stay safe.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. Honestly, just a wild job. Another one of those jobs that you don't really think about too often is like, yeah, there's an infirmary in a prison, but you never think like, there's these women there that are and men and but like that are there that are taking care of these prisoners, and people are being stabbed and they're being sexually assaulted and everything else. I mean, they people need medication, they need this and that. Like that's tough, and especially in a maximum security prison, you're dealing with people that are there for life. So feeling like they have nothing to lose,
yeah,
scary. It's a scary thing to consider. And I mean, I'm glad to hear that they're compensated fairly in her opinion. So that's good, because I feel like, how could you put someone in a position like that where they're, super educated, definitely helping people, and also have to deal with the stress of being in an environment like that. Like they should be compensated very fairly.
Yeah. That's also just like a true testament of just like healthcare workers, like emergency service workers, nurses, where you just like compartmentalize in the way that, like she said, like it's not on her to judge or know what this person did necessarily. Like you are there to provide care for a person, and when care is needed, just that ability to like spring into action and just do the job that you're trained for. And it's just always crazy. Like, if anyone ever just needed help or had an emergency, like it's just going to be a stranger that does everything in their power to save you. I don't know. That's just always like blows my mind. Like every doctor, every service work, like it's just, this is someone who just has no ties to you, doesn't know you, doesn't need to know anything about you. But people go into this profession just knowing that they are going to give their all to like give care and save anyone who needs it, despite their background, their history, who they are. It's incredible.
Yeah, man, those are like legitimate heroes that are walking among us. The heroes, healthcare workers, firemen, everybody who's doing that. But we appreciate her coming on. And for anyone else that would like to come on the show, hit us up. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, send them in. We're always reading emails. New episode every 2 weeks, so we're always recording now. So reach out and we'll let you know if we want to chat with you. And follow us on Instagram, TikTok @OPL Podcast. And thanks for everyone on the YouTube, Spotify community, leaving comments. Like, the community has just been engaging so much lately. We love it, and we're reading, and it's awesome to see. So thank you.
Yeah, and that is all. See you guys next time.